You know that feeling when someone's words stick to you like glue? When a casual comment from a coworker ruins your entire day? When you replay conversations in your head at 3 a.m., crafting the perfect comeback you'll never say? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The person who hurt you has already forgotten about it. They're sleeping peacefully while you're up burning calories on imaginary arguments. What if the pain you're feeling isn't actually about them at all? What if you're the one holding the knife and you've been stabbing yourself this whole time without even realizing it? Carl Jung understood something most people spend their entire lives running from. Nobody can hurt you without your permission. Not your ex, not your toxic boss, not even that family member who knows exactly which buttons to push. The prison you're living in, you built it, brick by brick, with your own 2 hands. But here's the wild part. If you built it, you can tear it down. Let's talk about why you're still giving so many fucks about things that don't deserve a single second of your attention. There's someone out there right now who thinks you're too loud. Someone else thinks you're too quiet. Someone thinks you're selfish. Another person thinks you're a doormat. Here's what's hilarious. They're all right, and they're all wrong. Because they're not seeing you. They're seeing a projection screen where they play out their own unresolved issues. Jung called this projection, but let's strip away the psychology jargon. People are walking around with internal wounds, and they're looking for places to dump their pain. Sometimes you happen to be convenient. The criticism that lands? It's usually not about you. It's about the critic's relationship with themselves. Think about the last time someone's opinion really got under your skin. Now ask yourself, why did that specific criticism land when others bounced off? Here's the secret. It only hurts when you already believe it might be true. The insult is just poking at a wound you've been hiding from yourself. When someone calls you stupid, and you know with absolute certainty that you're intelligent, the comment slides off like water. But when they touch on an insecurity you've been nursing in the dark, that's when the sleepless nights begin. That's when you start giving fucks you can't afford to give. Jung wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Read that again slowly. The person who annoys you isn't your enemy. They're a mirror. And you hate them because they're showing you something you refuse to see in yourself. The coworker who won't shut up about their achievements. Maybe that's your own silenced ambition staring back at you. The friend who's always playing the victim? Perhaps that's your own unacknowledged powerlessness wearing a different face. This is why you can't stop giving a fuck about certain people. They're not random. They're assignments. Life keeps sending you the same lesson in different packaging until you finally learn it. Now we're getting to the part most self-help gurus won't touch because it's messy and uncomfortable. Jung's concept of the shadow, the part of yourself you've been trying to bury alive. Here's how it works. From the moment you were born, people started telling you who to be. Be nice, be quiet, be humble, be ambitious. Don't be too much. Don't be too little. Smile more. Be serious. By the time you hit adulthood, you've stuffed so many unacceptable parts of yourself into a psychological basement that you've become a stranger to your own nature. The shadow is everything you've rejected about yourself. Your anger, your selfishness, your desires, your darkness. And here's the cosmic joke. The harder you try to be good, the more powerful your shadow becomes. It doesn't disappear. It just starts running your life from behind the scenes. Why the same conflicts keep appearing with different faces? Your shadow is doing the attracting. Jung believed that we're drawn to people who carry the traits we've disowned. We're trying to encounter our whole selves, even if it means doing it through painful relationships. That person who drives you absolutely insane, they're probably expressing something you've forbidden yourself from expressing. They're living out your shadow, and you hate them for it because they have the freedom you've denied yourself. Think about it. The person who's too selfish might be showing you the healthy boundaries you've never allowed yourself to set. The aggressive coworker might be displaying the assertiveness you've labeled as mean in yourself. The irresponsible friend might be living the spontaneity you've buried under layers of people-pleasing. This is why you can't stop giving a fuck about them. You're not really angry at them. You're angry at the parts of yourself you've never allowed to breathe. Integration is the answer, but it's not pretty. It means pulling everything you've hidden into the light. It means admitting that yes, you have rage inside you. Yes, you can be petty. Yes, you have dark thoughts. Yes, you're capable of cruelty. Acknowledging this doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a complete one. When you integrate your shadow, something magical happens. Other people lose their power over you. The criticism that would have destroyed you last year now just feels like weather. Passing through. Temporary, not personal. Let's talk about the real reason you're still giving so many fucks. Your ego is terrified of dying. Your ego isn't your enemy. It's just doing its job, which is to construct and maintain an identity. The problem is that the identity it builds is largely fictional. It's a story you've been telling yourself about who you are, and you've been living inside that story for so long that you've confused it with truth. I'm the responsible one. I'm the funny one. I'm the victim. I'm the success story. These narratives feel like facts, but they're just patterns. And your ego will do anything, and I mean anything, to protect these patterns, even if they're making you miserable. When someone challenges your self-concept, your ego screams like you're being murdered, because from its perspective, you are. If you're not the smart one, who are you? If you're not the good person, what's left? This is why criticism feels like death. This is why rejection feels like annihilation. Your ego genuinely believes it's fighting for survival. But here's what Jung understood that most people miss. You are not your ego. You're the awareness behind it. You're the space in which the ego performs. And once you realize this, once you really get it in your bones, people's opinions become background noise. Think about a celebrity getting canceled on Twitter. Thousands of people have opinions about them, and exactly 0 of those people actually know them. The celebrity who suffers is the one who believes these strangers have access to truth about who they really are. The celebrity who thrives is the one who recognizes that public opinion is just a weather pattern, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, always temporary, never personal. You don't need to be famous to experience this. Every day, people form opinions about you based on a single interaction, a misheard comment, a bad mood you were in on a random Tuesday. These opinions are fiction. They're based on incomplete data filtered through the person's own projections, biases, and wounds. When you stop identifying with your ego's story about yourself, you stop needing to defend it. Someone thinks you're arrogant? Interesting observation. Someone thinks you're weak? Cool perspective. Neither changes the reality of who you actually are beneath all the labels. Not giving a fuck doesn't mean becoming a cold, callous asshole. It means becoming selective about where you invest your emotional energy. It means understanding that you have a finite amount of fucks to give, and most situations don't deserve even one. Jung talked about individuation, the process of becoming who you actually are instead of who everyone else wants you to be. This process requires something that sounds simple but feels impossible. You have to disappoint people. Lots of them, consistently. Your mother wanted you to be a doctor. Your father wanted you to be tough. Your ex wanted you to be more emotional. Your partner wants you to be more successful. Your friends want you to be more available. Social media wants you to have an opinion on everything. Your boss wants you to work harder. Everyone wants a piece of you, and they're all disappointed when you refuse to perform. Good. Their disappointment is the sound of you becoming real. It's the sound of you choosing yourself instead of the comfortable lie you've been living to keep everyone calm. This is terrifying because humans are wired for belonging. Getting kicked out of the tribe used to mean death. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between social rejection and being left for the wolves. But here's the paradox Jung would appreciate. Only when you're willing to be rejected do you become genuinely acceptable. Not to everyone, to yourself. And that's the only approval that actually matters, because it's the only one you'll carry with you every single day for the rest of your life. When you stop contorting yourself into shapes that please others, you stop attracting people who need you to be small. You stop ending up in relationships where you have to perform. You start meeting people who are interested in who you actually are, not who they need you to be. This is the alchemy. Lead into gold. People pleaser into sovereign individual. Victim into creator. The transformation happens when you withdraw your energy from everything that isn't yours to carry. So how do you actually stop giving a fuck? How do you go from lying awake at 3 a.m. replaying conversations to sleeping like a baby while the world has opinions? First, recognize that most of what hurts you is happening in your head. The person who insulted you moved on immediately. You're the one keeping the wound fresh by picking at it constantly. Every time you replay the scenario, you're choosing to hurt yourself again. Stop rehearsing your pain. Second, start questioning your thoughts like they're suspects in a crime. This person thinks I'm worthless. Okay, is that true? How do you know? What evidence do you have? Are you reading minds now? Most of your suffering comes from believing your own interpretations without examining them. Third, understand that you're not responsible for other people's emotional weather. Someone's mad at you? That's their experience to have. Someone's disappointed? They're allowed to feel that way. You don't need to fix it, manage it, or absorb it. Their feelings are their responsibility, not your emergency. Fourth, practice the pause. When something triggers you, before you react, breathe. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years, 5 months, 5 days? Most of what feels catastrophic in the moment is completely forgotten by next week. Your ego just convinced you it was life or death. Fifth, get comfortable with being misunderstood. You could explain yourself perfectly with PowerPoint presentations and footnotes, and some people would still get it wrong. Some people are committed to their narrative about you. Let them have it. Their story about you is none of your business. Sixth, start saying no without explanation. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone a dissertation on why you're not available, not interested, or not willing. The people who deserve you will respect your boundaries. The people who don't will teach you why boundaries matter. Here's where this gets interesting. Jung believed that your wound is your gift. The thing you've been trying to hide, manage, and fix, that's your superpower in disguise. The person who was rejected as a child and spent years trying to be perfect, they become the one who sees through facades and connects with authenticity. The person who was betrayed and had to rebuild trust, they become the one with impeccable boundaries and intuition. The person who was told they were too much, they become the one who gives others permission to take up space. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's your ability to read rooms and understand what's unspoken. Your anger isn't a character flaw. It's your internal alarm system telling you something's wrong. Your darkness isn't something to fix. It's your depth, your complexity, your humanity. When you stop giving a fuck about being good or right or acceptable, you can finally become whole. Wholeness includes everything, the light and the dark, the strength and the vulnerability, the wisdom and the foolishness. Jung called this the self, the totality of who you are beyond all the masks. People who've integrated their shadow have a specific quality. They're calm in chaos. They're okay with conflict. They don't need to prove anything. They're not performing for approval. There's a settledness to them, like they've come home to themselves after a long journey. This is what's on the other side of giving a fuck. Not apathy sovereignty, not coldness clarity, not hardness wholeness. So what happens when you truly stop giving a fuck about the things that don't deserve your energy? You become unhurtable. Not because nothing touches you, but because you've stopped identifying with the part of you that feels attacked. When someone criticizes you, you can examine whether there's truth in it without falling apart. When someone rejects you, you can let them go without questioning your worth. When someone projects their pain onto you, you can witness it without absorbing it. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not a switch you flip. It's a practice. Some days you'll nail it. Some days you'll be back on the floor, giving way too many fucks about something that won't matter next week. That's fine. That's human. That's the process. But gradually, the grip loosens. The opinions that used to feel like concrete facts start feeling like clouds, visible, but not solid, present, but not permanent. You start trusting yourself more than you trust other people's interpretations of you. You start understanding that your worth isn't up for debate, no matter how many people show up to argue about it. Jung spent his life studying the human psyche, and his conclusion was radical. You already have everything you need. You're not broken. You're not missing pieces. You've just forgotten what you are beneath all the conditioning, all the wounds, all the stories. Nothing and nobody can ever hurt you again, not because you've built walls, but because you've dismantled the parts of yourself that were available to be hurt. You've integrated, and wholeness is invincible, not because it can't be wounded, but because it knows that wounds heal, that pain passes, that everything is temporary, except the awareness that witnesses it all. So stop giving a fuck. Not about everything, just about the things that keep you small, afraid, and performing for an audience that doesn't matter. Give a fuck about what's true. Give a fuck about what's yours to carry. Give a fuck about becoming who you actually are, instead of who you thought you had to be. The rest, let it go. It was never yours to hold anyway.